Hello and welcome to Conversations with Nurit. I am Nurit and I'm here in Budapest, Hungary. And my guest today is Magda Badawi, and he is in Northern Virginia. Hello, Magda. Nice to meet you finally.
Yes, hello, Nurit. Nice to meet you.
Magda and I have been friends on Facebook for quite some time, and I've been enjoying reading his posts and listening to some of his YouTube videos. And now we finally connected, and we're going to talk to him today. And first of all, what is it that you teach, Magda?
I share with friends the message that what we truly are is not what you perceive. What we truly are is not body-mind. And I invite people to contemplate this message and to go deeper into the significance and the implications of this message, and how to live, once that message is sort of understood, how to live according to the understanding that what I truly am is not a phenomenal event, that what I truly am is beyond that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When you say, as we go along, I may be asking you to clarify certain words, because there's a lot of words in this non-duality scene that
Sure.
Yes. People use in different ways. So when you say body-mind, what do you mean by that?
By the body-mind, I refer to bodily sensations. I refer to perceptions, worldly perceptions, sensory perceptions. And I refer to mentations, thoughts, memories, feelings, images. So by the body-mind, I refer to sort of an ensemble of the phenomenal realm. So the phenomenal realm, the way we know it, is via perceptions, via thoughts, and via bodily sensations.
Mm-hmm. So when you say that we're not, that you're referring more to not identifying with that as such. Is that what you mean by that?
Yes. So when I share the message that we are not what is perceived, I am basically inviting a questioning that would bring a contemplation about not just what are the qualities of what is perceived, but also brings the attention towards perceiving itself. The quality of perceiving, including the impression of a perceiver. So the invitation is to sort of not just be outwardly directed, but to also reflect upon the knower, the inner knower of perceptions, sensations, and mentations.
Mm-hmm. And how does one do that? I understand you use the word, if I'm correct from your website, the word inquiry a lot. How is that done?
Well, the contemplation or the inquiry or the journey, the spiritual journey, starts with a revelation. There is, we basically before the spiritual journey, we live in a belief system, and the belief system, just to sort of do the broad description of the belief system, basically is that I am this man or woman, I am this person, and I'm born in such and such a place, and I exist in time and space.
Mm-hmm.
And that belief system sort of affects all our experiences. Once that belief is in place and is not questioned, we actually do perceive an external world. We do perceive mortal sensation, immortal body mind, and we identify with that, and we're not even aware that we are identifying with that. It's as if it's our it's our default mode. There is no other possibility. Anybody that would talk to you otherwise would be loony, So,
Yes.
but at some point, in some cases, and because there is innate within us a love for truth, an interest in truth. It's in most cases it is subliminal. It's not up at the surface. It's sort of not even noticed, but it's there within us. And at some point in time, there might be some sort of break or some sort of event that sort of brings that love for truth up to the surface, and it is possible to have a glimpse that, wait a minute, what am I? There is a world that, of course, I'm perceiving, but suddenly there is a glimpse of something beyond this world that is perceiving this world, or that is just beyond this world. Mm-hmm. So the spiritual journey starts usually with some sort of glimpse. It may not be like a big, aha moment. It may be just sort of a simple question: what is going on here? What is it? What's happening? What is this? What is this realm? What is this experience? Once that question arose, it's like suddenly the seed is right now fell on fertile ground, and it's just a matter of this seed coming to its full potential, to its full blooming, as short time as possible. Of course, the destiny of all streams is to arrive at the ocean, but some streams arrive to the ocean by meandering, arriving to a lake, sitting there for a while, slowly, And some others take a more direct path to the ocean. So people come to a guide, to a friend along their spiritual journey. It's in a way, it's consciousness that brings them to this meeting when they're ready, because the guide can provide you with shortcuts with certain hints to expedite your journey to the self. Mm-hmm. So the way I am with friends here is I'm just available. It's complete availability.
Mm-hmm. It's nice.
It is the availability of presence, which is not a personal presence. It's just the presence that we are, that often is overlooked when the mind is busy. Then there is a lot of forms, a lot of objects, a lot of thoughts, a lot of emotions in the space, and the peace of presence is overlooked. Right. But somehow, at some level, this is what we want. At some level, we love the peace, we love the beauty, we love the happiness, we love the joy, we love the intelligence, and although there might be some conflict in the mind or busyness in the mind, there is also within that busyness a desire for peace and happiness.
Of course.
In from the conditioned mind, we seek the peace and happiness in the world. We seek it in relationship, in positions, in situations, in certain events, in certain possessions, in certain emotions. But when we are seeking peace and happiness in form, given that all forms are impermanent, the peace and happiness that we attain is also impermanent. So we toggle back and forth. We're like on a roller coaster ride. Yeah, I'm happy now. I got what I want, and oh God, what I wanted is doing the job.
The pendulum swings.
Yes, pendulum swings. Right.
One day it's good, one day it's not so good.
Yes. So there is a path to the peace and happiness that does not come and go.
Yes.
That message, when that message is heard and it touches your heart, you find yourself in a really deep way interested. In a very deep way, you are listening. And the listening is an openness. And when there is this openness, there is a possibility for the light to shine in, to shine through, and to bring clarity and peace and happiness.
Mm-hmm. It's wonderful. It's I think it's people are there's a lot of seekers out there today that are looking for a better life rather than turning within. But I think more and more people are starting to see that the swing is not it's not so comfortable anymore.
Yes, the better life is a consequence.
Yes.
It's so your way to a better life is really through the revelation of the self.
Yeah.
If your way to a better life is through the mind, through trying to figure out how to make it work better, you are in the maze. You're in the maze because the mind is shines, is a reflection of the self. So it's I like to say that the mind, meaning the world, body, mind, that's just thoughts and meditations, the entire realm, the entire phenomenal realm. I like to refer to it as it's the dream of consciousness. It's consciousness dream. So if you want to have a happy life and you forget what you are, who you are, what you truly are, then you are in the infinite dreams, because the dreams are unending, looking for peace and happiness. And you just go on and on and on and on and on. So the journey is a journey of a return, in a way, a return to the source. And once you return to the source, actually, as you are approaching the source, one of the ways in which you know that you are approaching the source is that your life becomes sweeter.
Yes.
Relationships become sweeter. Your food, shelter, and clothing situation becomes easier, easy flow, and more abundance and more synchronicity.
Yes.
It's quite magical. But the journey to the sweetness and the beauty and the happiness in the world is via the self, via the revelation of what you are, and not the other way around.
What was your journey like?
It was a journey of complete passion and love for the divine, and it was triggered in my 20s by a sudden revelation of the eternity of consciousness, and that sort of burned. It sort of it dissolved a lot of the structures that that were, you know, that I was identified with.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, after that, there was a long journey, you know, many decades of ongoing contemplation, and my path has been a path through being engaged in life, in work and family and raising children and so on. So there's been, of course, all the conditioning, you know, that I came up with, that was brought up with, that were being contemplated for many decades as I was living a working life and a family life and a meditative life at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So in coming to the full revelation of the self, there is both the conceptual aspect, the intellectual understanding, the correct understanding of the Dharma, of the teaching, the correct understanding. But also there is this, I'm going to use the word integration, that occurs in life. It's more a path of coming to traveling through all the conditions that maintain you as a person at the feeling level.
Mm-hmm.
So at the feeling level, you might have a clear understanding of the Dharma, that I am presence, that and this presence is borderless, this presence is universal, that I am this universal consciousness. You might have this understanding and still get triggered by family issues, political issues, money issues, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So there are these two journeys that come together. In some cases, there is a very quick understanding of the Dharma, of the truth, and then there is a decades of living the all the triggers that happens in your life. In some other cases, there is living the complications of your life, relationships, work, and so on. And then at some point throughout this journey, you start to understand the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So irrespective of whichever way it presents itself, both aspects have to come together.
Mm-hmm. So when you talk about your revelation, was there something that triggered that? Was there, they say people have revelations either by inspiration or desperation. Was there some suffering, or was there an event, or was it just out of the blue? Can you tell us a little bit about
Yeah, there. In my recollection, I would say probably when I was maybe between 12 and 14, I don't recall. In my home country, I had this very deep existential question. I sort of saw myself in this entire universe, rather than just seeing myself in the room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this young boy in the room. I saw myself as in this entire universe. So I had this sudden question that arose: what is going on? What is it? What am I? What is?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a question that had a depth to it. It wasn't like a surface question.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you know, then years went on, and in my 20s, I was at the university, and Well, I would say that my life, my young life, I had a lot of turbulence, family turbulence, and some of it was quite intense. Actually, maybe most of it was quite intense. For maybe from being 13 to being 17, 18, and then when we migrated to the States, it was my 5 brothers and my mom. The six boys and my mom came to the States, and sort of on a sudden, quick decision. So it's sort of I was meeting a new culture and having no parental support. I was sort of in a way, like the father of the family.
Yeah.
So there were psychological the psychological space, was not, just a very sweet and automatic sort of life. There were a lot of questions, but in terms of your question, I was contemplating. I was taking a class in Eastern philosophy, and one of the teachers, actually, that was my first mentor, said at one time, he was starting to talk about Buddhism. He said, well, in Buddhism, the main tenet of Buddhism is that there is no ego, that the self is not real. And when I heard that in class, it's as if the entire world stopped. I was in a bubble out there somewhere in space, and I sort of understood what he meant. But then I had this question that came up immediately. I get it, but yet here I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was my mentor. He helped me quite a bit in exploring that. And at some point in time, a few months after that, I had this solution. It's hard to describe. I would say just simply that it's just a glimpse into the eternity and universality of consciousness. And from then on, there was no other passion.
Yeah, there comes a point when this is what your life is all about, I guess.
Yeah, it was beyond the mind. It's just, there was every opportunity I had to meditate or to join retreats. I was part of the Zen tradition at the time. I did that for many years. There was nothing that I was seeking, not that I was aware of. It was a way of life. The way of life was to meditate and contemplate and then sit. And I never felt that I was seeking something. It was not my experience.
What was motivating you to go on with it? Was it that desire to know who you are?
It's as if somebody else was driving the vehicle. So I can't really tell you. It was just a passion. I don't know. I mean, when there are times when your mind does not know, but you know. There is a knowingness that is beyond the mind, that in a way there is no choice. You just know I've got to go this way. Sometimes it may happen to you when you gotta make yourself completely available to another person, or with complete clarity that okay, it's time for you to leave the situation. There is a knowingness where the mind is not there. You just sort of let you know.
Mhm. Mhm. So how is that? So you went through years of retreats and learning with other teachers, and what kind of inner processes did you go through during that?
Yeah, I just worked with one teacher. It was Philip Kaplow. It was a Zen tradition in Rochester, New York, upstate New York, Zen center. Um, I had very early on read his book, The Three Pillars of Zen, and at the time, that's what was available. You know, I lived upstate New York,
Mm-hmm.
and so I would attend retreats in Rochester, and later on, first in Sharon Springs, which was an affiliate of Rochester. Um, I just sat, you know, Nuri. I just sat, and at some point, well, I started working with breath, but very quickly it became just sitting.
Mm-hmm.
And after a few years, there was a sitting, but even without sitting, I was sitting, but I wasn't sitting. In other words, I would just sit, and then they hit the bell to start the sitting, and when they hit the bell to end the sitting, there was no time that had gone by. So I couldn't even tell you that I was sitting. So
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what I was doing or wasn't doing. I can't tell you. It was just like that. And then at some point, I left the Zen tradition and worked with Toni Packer. She was from the Zen tradition that had left it, and I worked with her for many years.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point in time, I felt that I'm the teacher. I'm a teacher. So I had a teacher ego that arose. And yeah. And so it sort of was interesting because that ego was sort of validating itself, because sometimes when I would say things, people would really be very interested and be listening. So my teacher ego was validated by
Of course.
by people. And sometimes it was there were people who just would want to take me off the pedestal. In either case, there was a pedestal, and I became more and more aware of it. And so I sort of went on an internal contemplation of these feelings of teacherism and these ideas of teacherism. Maybe for about 5 to 7 years, I was contemplating on my own. I wasn't working with any teacher. And then at some time, about 7 years ago or so, there was also another shift that's very hard to put in words. It was sort of being the entire universe, something like that. But it didn't leave me. It sort of shifted my experience and stayed there. And very quickly after that, I was in a relationship that lasted about a little bit more than 2 years, about 2 years. It was agony. It was agony. I had never imagined there would be such agony, and the psychological suffering, the misery and the suffering, I never imagined that I would be experiencing that, because I had this feeling that I was on the other side of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
It was like I think of it of like the blacksmith that puts the metal in the hot iron.
Yes, my brother was a blacksmith.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was the metal in the hot fire,
Oh dear.
in the hot flame. It was and right around that time I met Francis Lucille, the Advaita teacher who lives in Temecula in California.
Mm-hmm.
And I started engaging with him some questions online, and also following his webcasts. And within a few months, there was a the end of the journey. Really, it's I don't know how there was an ending. There's a moment where I knew that there was no return to ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, my life changed. That relationship ended, and I met a very, very lovely woman that we are together now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I saw on Facebook that you recently got married.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Something else we have in common. I just around the same time.
Oh, congratulations. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Nice to you.
Thank you, you too. So you felt obviously that many things drifted away and new things came into your life, obviously.
Yeah. A lot of the complications that I was in my life started dropping. Work relationship became very, very smooth and sweet. Relationships and situations in life are very smooth and peaceful and happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I set up a meetup group, and I knew that I was available to share. The message was clear, here of what I'm sharing. I've been sharing it since.
It's wonderful. Obviously, there's on your website, it tells people where they can meet you and how they can come in to see you.
Yes. I'm available on Facebook, Magda Badawi. You can search me on Facebook. I'm also available on YouTube. You can go to YouTube and just put in my name, Magda Badawi, or you could search Abide in Your True Self, and you'll get to my site. Mm-hmm. The best way to work with a teacher is, of course, in person. That is the best way. Of course,
I agree.
There's a lot of teaching available via the web, but I really encourage people who are very sincere about their path to go through whatever is needed to come to the teacher they recognize, they resonate with, mm-hmm. to work with the teacher as much as they can.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you work with people in a group, or do you also work with people individually?
Yeah, both. Some people want to have questions, and they contact me, and we meet. We meet on Skype, or we meet in person. Or sometimes people have some messages on Facebook. They message me, and we go through some questions that they may have. Mm-hmm. I'm available in a variety of ways, and there's a group in Costa Rica that invites me. I think it's the third trip that I'm going actually in March in a few weeks to hold a 4-day retreat. Retreats are the best way to really dive into the teaching and get some clarification.
What are some of the challenges that other students find with you when they come, or you find with them as a teacher?
I don't find any challenges as a teacher. I actually don't consider myself a teacher, but anyways, having said that, I don't find any challenges. It's all very sweet. Mm-hmm. It's a listening space that we share together. Mm-hmm. And in this listening space, we listen together to the question, and I also speak from a listening space. Mm-hmm. So it's not speaking from something that I know, that I'm sort of reciting or remembering. No, I listen to what is being said, and then there is a listening to the answer that comes. It's really not a person that speaks, it's the speaking comes through consciousness. And we are this consciousness. I am this consciousness. And so consciousness speaks, and it's consciousness that hears. So it's always consciousness that is the ultimate knower, the ultimate speaker, doer, perceiver.
Right.
And even though you might imagine yourself to be a person, there is something that knows that the thought that says I am a person. So there is a thought that arises saying, my name is Magda, or I'm a man. This thought arises, there is something that knows this thought, because if there isn't consciousness that is aware of this thought, I wouldn't perceive the thought, I wouldn't know this thought, and I wouldn't know that I am a man, or I wouldn't know that this is an oak tree. So there is a knowingness, which is consciousness, that perceives. And similarly, consciousness perceives the thoughts and speaks them and hears them. It's a very important understanding to arrive to, that it's not me, a man, or me, a woman, that is hearing these words. That comes after. I am Magda, I am Nurit, I am John, and so on comes after. The listening has no gender. The listening, the perceiving has no gender. It's genderless.
Yes.
It is formless, but yet it's very real. Even though there is no gender, the reality of perceiving is undeniable. This is not nothing. So it's really coming to getting in touch with that which is not perceived, but yet which perceives. The reality doesn't belong to what is perceived. Doesn't belong to the form. It belongs to what knows the form, what perceives the form. It's like in your night dream. You dream, of that you're maybe a bird or a butterfly. You see, but the reality doesn't belong to the butterfly. You are the dreamer. You're still the dreamer. There is no actual butterfly outside of your dream, and the reality belongs to you, the dreamer that perceives this butterfly. And the impression in your night dream that you are a butterfly is just an impression, because in fact there is no butterfly, and you're not the butterfly. You're the dreamer of both this butterfly and the me identity, that I am a butterfly. Both of those, the butterfly and the identification as a butterfly, are made out of yourself, and they're not apart from yourself. Your dreams are not apart from you. They're integral part of yourself. They're made out of you. So you, the dreamer, are dreaming these dreams out of yourself. So the night dream is a good analogy for the waking state. So in this waking state right now, this perception is not apart from me. This screen, this visual perception, this bodily sensation, are not apart from me. They are integral part of myself, integral part of consciousness. They're not apart from consciousness. So once we get to the understanding that in the waking state is similar to the dream state, that what is being perceived is actually the substance of what is being perceived is consciousness itself, then we come to a different experience in our waking state, that basically I am not experiencing you out there. I'm experiencing myself as consciousness appearing as this. This perception is the reality of this perception doesn't belong to some external world. It belongs to consciousness. Because obviously, there is a reality to consciousness. Right now, there is a reality that perceives. Whatever it is, I call it consciousness. Whatever it is that truly perceives, refer to it as consciousness. So that there is a reality to that. It's not nothing. And the reality of the external world is only known via consciousness. Because what would be the oak tree that you're looking at in the absence of consciousness? What would be a thought without the consciousness of the thought? There has to be consciousness of the thought. And so the thought, the perception of the world refer, the reality has to go through the reality of consciousness. So there's an ultimate reality. There is a seeming reality to the world, body, mind. But this seeming reality to the world, body, mind refers to the ultimate reality of consciousness. Like the seeming reality of the night dream, like the butterfly in your night dream, refers to you, the dreamer.
It's beautiful. So somebody comes to your satsang or to your meeting and they hear this, obviously they would resonate with this because it rings true. It is true, and it comes from your speaking from the place of that presence, and they recognize it, and they want to be in that place as well. How would they go about making that shift that you have?
Well, people come to satsang for a variety of reasons and from a variety of let's say, of interest, levels of interests. Some come to satsang because they want to solve a problem, a life problem that they're having, or a personal relationship that they're having, or a work situation that they're having. So in this case, their interest is worldly.
Right.
I'm not saying that in a critical way. I'm just saying it in a descriptive way. So because their interest is worldly, they will only get a part of the message. They will not get the full message. They will not hear or be interested or stay through the teaching that goes beyond their interest.
Right.
But irrespective of their coming and going, there is at some level something that is touched, something that is heard. It may germinate much later on, but there is a seed that consciousness has planted just because of their coming to satsang. So coming to satsang in itself is a blessing. It's a blessing.
Of course.
Now, there are some that come to satsang because they've had an experience of consciousness, and they are at some level in the journey encountering a certain resistance or a certain questions that are not fully settled. There is still mind identification, going on, and in that case, if they resonate with the teacher and they resonate with the message of the style of the teacher and the personality of the teacher and the energetics of the teacher and the lifestyle of the teacher, if they resonate with that, they will be more they will get more of the the teaching. Then now there are some who have also a revelation of the self, and they are also encountering. They're still not fully settled, but they believe that they're looking for a teacher. Let's say they're looking for a teacher, but they're looking, but not really looking. They're sort of like a butterfly going from flower to flower to flower to flower, and or a bee going, and then the honey will be a wildflower honey. So, in this case, they still haven't found a teacher that they resonate with, because at some point or the other, there is your final teacher. You arrive, you stay with a teacher that it would be your Karana guru that would finish the job for you. So there are gurus that are along the path, and then at some point there is your Karana guru, your final guru that finishes the job. Now, also there are some people who had a glimpse of the self, a glimpse of the universality of consciousness, and who believe that they've arrived, and they basically come to satsang to poke at the teacher and to
I'm familiar with that one. Yeah. My husband is also a teacher, so this is very familiar what you're talking about.
Yes, right. And they want to sort of show that they what they know, and in this case they just pass, and they don't really have an interest. So in this case, in the last case that I mentioned, then life is going to be their teacher. Their life is going to present, life meaning consciousness, is going to present to them.
That's right.
Challenging opportunities that will deflate their balloon, hopefully sooner than later, and bring them back to reason.
Yeah. Do you find that most people come just because it's the thing to do these days, because it's in fashion, or what I don't like to talk in percentages, but do you find that the people actually are aware that waking up from the dream is an option?
It depends on the teacher. Now, if when a teacher can teach from that place, from the stable place of the self, meaning from the peace and happiness, from this uninterrupted, undisturbed peace and happiness. Once that is revealed, that's the teaching. The teaching is the ultimate teaching, which is the stabilization as the self, as peace and happiness, beauty, love, intelligence, wisdom. In that case, it's not so much about entertainment, although I would say it is about love more than entertainment. So entertainment, I would say, is still like in the objective realm, is still at the worldly realm of forms. So the forms are really important. There may be some ritual. There may be a certain hierarchy around the teacher, and so there is some sort of interest in climbing up the hierarchy and being closer to the teacher, and but So it depends. It depends on the teacher. In this case here, we just get together as friends, and we just if there are questions, look at the questions together.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the stillness and the peace and the stillness that is important above all. Not a peace and stillness that is conditional. That's completely unconditional and not dependent on any situation.
Do you give any instruction? Obviously, when they sit with you, it would be easy to be peaceful because you're living in that place. Do you have any instructions for them, or something that they can use practically, so when they go home or when they go into their life, they can somehow sustain? It's not a very good word. There comes a point when there's not really good words, but they can continue to integrate what they found with you in their life.
Yes. The entire satsang is full of hints and of that you could understand during the satsang, and it could be understood and remembered during the rest of your week, and so that it comes back to your life, into your daily life, and invites you to live according to that understanding. There are understandings that occur in satsang, and these understandings affect your life, and you're encouraged to live your understanding. It's really important to have the courage to live your understanding. I'm saying courage because initially it may be going against the current, against the current around you, and against your habits up to now. You sort of trust that the other is yourself, and to live as if the other is yourself. It may be intimidating to do so, or scary to do so initially, since we've been so habituated to take care of ourselves and defend ourselves from the other. Now to make that shift from there is nothing to defend, the other is yourself, is yourself, that has very deep implications. And how to apply it, the applications of that are endless in your daily life. And it's really up to every person in whatever situations that are particular situations to their life, and their capacity to apply the understandings that they reach in that are in satsang. Of course, in satsang, the teaching is very broad in terms of there are many aspects to the understanding. It's not just one aha, it's not one insight. There's a whole series of insights that come together that sort of bring you to the precipice, bring you to the edge where the ego can die, can be dissolved and released. So it's really encouraged to come to satsang and to bring your questions to satsang and to persevere in your inquiry, as long as you have the good fortune to have guidance available to you. Now the other aspect of satsang, which is of course the major aspect of satsang, is the silent teaching. Is the teaching that comes directly the silent teaching directly from consciousness as this as the presence, as the peace that radiates through the teacher, but from consciousness through the teacher and through the entire space. That is only possible to come in the presence,
of course,
of the teacher.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Wonderful. Excellent. Good.
It is about love, peace, beauty, and happiness.
Mm-hmm.
It's not some academic interest or some abstract intellectual interest. Of course, there is a certain aspect to understanding where the mind is involved, reason is used. But it's about the revelation of what we are, about living the freedom that is innate to us, that is gifted to us from the divine. In poetic terms, that's a gift from God. The freedom, the love, the beauty is gifted to us. The journey is about love, peace, and happiness.
Wonderful. Well, it's certainly been a great gift to speak with you today. And I hope the viewers who watch this will enjoy it as much as I have.
Oh, beautiful.
It's very, very nice. Is there any final message or a few words that you want to add to this?
See, don't compromise your happiness. Don't maintain in your space what is unhappy. And you know what is unhappy. You just have to sort of look within. You don't go around and ask your neighbor, hey, listen, tell me, does this make me happy or not? You know it within yourself. You just need to turn your interest, your discrimination, your internal radar that is available freely to you. You know deep down within your heart that you love, you love beauty, you love joy, you love freedom, you love happiness. Live it. It's in your hands. It's available to you to live it. And you just simply say no to the unhappiness. These little no's that you say, say no to the unhappiness. Say no, okay, no to the unhappiness does not mean resistance. That means intelligence. No, I don't think I'm going to continue walking in that mud. I don't think I'm going to continue to live in this abuse or to express anger. Just because you can notice within yourself that these expressions of anger, of the emotion, are not happy. They're not happy here. They're not happy anywhere in the entire space. So follow your happiness. Learn about your own happiness. Nobody can teach you. It is available to you. You are perfectly equipped to know all what is needed. It's all available to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Magdi. It's been an absolute pleasure. And
thank you. Very, very lovely to spend time with you. And thank you for the invitation for this interview.
Absolutely. And for all our viewers, thank you very much for watching. If you're in North America, have a wonderful day. If you're in Europe, have a wonderful evening. Everyone in between, enjoy whatever you're doing. Be happy, as Magdi said, and find your peace. Thank you very much. Till next time.
Thank you, Nurit. Thank you, Nurit. Okay.